Hi, I'm Billi Maddox and I'm gonna mess this up so that you don't have to.
I think back now on that fateful day when I first laid eyes on his parts speeding past me on that conveyor belt. I nearly missed him. Right then, I knew immediately that I had to build him. It was build at first sight. After I activated him, we spent the rest of the day traveling around Batuu, stopping for photos whenever we could to capture all the memories. Once I brought him home, we got into our daily routines. We hung out together, we played together, we resisted the first order together. We even ate together, though I wasn't really sure what to feed him at first. I suppose kibble is okay, and he seems to like it. We were, and still are, completely inseparable. Wherever I was, so was this little guy. Truly a friendship for the ages. Who would have thought? BB99, the runt of his production run, but with a heart or a motivator bigger than an AT-AT. We became the best of friends. One of our favorite things to do has to be going on little road trips, and 99 loves sitting up front with me. I make sure my buddy is nice and safe for our journey, so I buckle him up tight. I mean, sometimes we're just going around the corner, but it always feels like an exciting adventure to us. Okay, so today we're going to be doing this little Funko Pop little BB resistance droid, which is the exact model that I got at Droid Depot at Galaxy's Edge. So first off, I needed to paint it all gray. I couldn't get past looking at it already painted. I needed a blank canvas because I didn't know exactly how I wanted to paint it. So I'm actually going into this with a little bit of an idea, but not much of an idea. It was evolving as I went. So, you know, just some acrylic paints. I used a rattle can to spray this up all in gray. And now I'm just going in with some, with some acrylic paints here. In hindsight, using these yellows and these oranges, which are very transparent colors, were kind of a pain, but in the end, those are the colors that I wanted. But here we go. All of our little round circle areas painted up in various oranges. I will go back and kind of change up the colors a little bit, dirty it up a little bit, call attention to some of the details a little bit. Then I went with this tan sort of color, which is the main color of the body that I wanted. And I'm using this matte color, which is kind of really cool. I ended up spraying it in gloss anyway, but I just liked the way that it went on. So here we are. I'm just painting in some details now. It's really all about calling attention to these little panels and things and some of these little details. I'm using really tiny brushes and some contrasting colors to call out some of these panels that are on there. And again, I am floored by how this is a one-to-one representation of the BB unit that I got at Droid Depot. It is all of the panel bits, all of these little details that you see me calling out are all in the big one. So this will definitely serve as a roadmap to painting that one up. I'm kind of excited about it. I think in the end I wanted this to look sort of very resistance-y, but almost looking at the finished one, and you'll see once I'm done, it kind of reminds me of the Ghost, the ship, the Ghost, with the colors that I'm using. And I really love the color work in Rebels. Okay, so now on to some weathering, now that I've got most of it painted up. Now, I usually do props and things, so I'm not used to working on such a small scale. So I was trying to do a wash and then wipe it off thing, but that's just not gonna work. So I'm watering down these paints really, really watered down so that I can get some like capillary action happening. You know, you put it on the panel lines and it kind of flows through the panel line and fills it in. I'm later going to then soften that up with even some more water. You see here, I tried to like wipe it off and I'm like, this isn't gonna work. This is not gonna work. So it's a bit counterintuitive for me because it's not usually how I weather. Usually I'm weathering a blaster or something like that, which has a lot more space. It just makes sense to weather it that way. This, I kind of had to take the approach of weathering it as if I was just painting in the weathering, which is a bit of a challenge because you have to, you know, you have to pay special attention that you're not going too far, you know? Because essentially it's not going to be wiped off. I am actually painting stuff in. But the good part about it is that when you water down paint this much, you can then dip your brush into a bit more water and move around that paint even more so that it becomes subtle. The name of the game with weathering is subtle, you know? So here I'm just calling out some details and you can see it looks like I'm barely putting any pigment down because I'm trying to really work my way up in places that I know that I wanted a bit more dark of a color. I'm dipping back into the straight paint, dipping into the water and giving it a little more pigment, a bit more so that it's darker, you know? But this is the kind of thing that at this scale, which is the first time I'm doing something at this scale, it takes a very, very controlled and very, very kind of a very like easy hand on the weathering, because it's very easy to go too far at this scale. You have to kind of transport yourself down to that scale and know that, like, would it have this much of a splotch in this area? Because no, it wouldn't. So now, like, I'm trying to do here all of these like little rivet points, and there's really no other way to do it than to dip a toothpick into a bit of silver. That's what I'm doing right now, just to call out a few details of those little rivets that you see there. And I'm using a toothpick, I'm dipping it into the paint, and I'm kind of turning it on its side and just lightly and barely touching where it wants to go, allowing the actual model itself to take whatever paint that it wanted. But it takes a really kind of, like, you know, you're working on a miniature scale here, you see? So I'm just taking the toothpick. I'm gonna give you a little close-up here. You can see some of that weathering that I did too, but okay, grab the toothpick already. What is this? What is this clip? What is this? Okay, you see, I'm dipping it into the paint and then just lightly. 2 hairs and some air. 2 hairs and some air. Yeah, something about like that. Just here and there, and there and here. Something about like that. 2 hairs and some air. Why do I always Bob Ross out when I'm painting something? I don't understand. Okay, so onto the head, because the body's pretty much done. And what I did first was just hit it with some of the silver. I just wanted a bit of shimmer, right? So this isn't like full coverage, but I did want some shimmer in certain areas, going heavy in certain areas. But as you can see, it's sort of reflecting some paint. Sorry, it's reflecting the brush in the paint. So it did kind of pick up some shimmer. I wanted the head to look metallic and then go back in and do some of these sort of panels in the colors that the body was as well. So you can kind of see there to the left of where the tip of my brush is, I did one of those in that blue that you see. I love that blue. It's a really good contrast against the against the orange, and also against that tan too. And you could start to see that I kind of unconsciously, subconsciously, unconsciously, I don't know what the word is, was like channeling the art style and the color style of the Rebels TV show, because it kind of reminds me of the Ghost. But I did want a very Rebel astromech droid look to it. I had a lot of fun doing this. It's really not my thing to paint miniatures, but I think I'm kind of into it now. I think I might do it a little more. Who knows? Who knows? But it is kind of it is nerve-wracking working at this scale, because you really have to make conscious decisions as to what goes where, and you know, how much you paint. And really getting into the nooks and crannies was a little bit difficult. As you see on the table there, I'm working with all of my teeny tiniest brushes. Some of those brushes had never even been used. I don't work at this scale. You can see some yellows and some oranges. I tried to vary the oranges and vary the yellows to kind of make... to kind of call out different kind of fading and weathering and age. It's the kind of thing where maybe this came off the production line and it was all nice and clean and all of the oranges were the same color, and after time, replacing parts, repainting parts, it has kind of changed. I like that kind of battle-worn and weathered look to things, especially in Star Wars, where it's a universe where everything is lived in, you know? I didn't show painting the little eye, but I did, as you see there, I did paint it in black, and I did just a tiny little bit of silver just to kind of make it look like it's catching light. Obviously these aren't, that's not a glass eye. It's made out of whatever Funko Pops are made out of. So I had to do it in paint. I really love this blue up against these oranges. Look at that contrast there with those three little tabs on the body. It makes for a nice little look here. So the little hood, I really don't know what that is. The little hood to the eye, I then called back to the colors in the body and painted at that same tan color. I think it looks kind of dope. I think it looks kind of dope, and I don't know, kind of a tactical look to it, a camouflagey look to it. I don't know. I mean, not really. I say camouflage, but not really. And you'll see right there, I did some little details and like putting on some little stripes and things, you know? I would have liked to have done more, but at this scale, you really can't. Once I start to paint up the large version that you saw at the beginning, I will put his model number in Orbesh and things like that. I might put a Rebel insignia somewhere, but at this scale, you can't really do that. But it really does give me a roadmap for the larger one, and I can kind of look at this for a while and decide what I want to do to the big one before I make a commitment. I can't really paint it right now. It's really cold where I live, and working with rattle cans when it's really cold is not a good idea unless you have like a spray room inside. I do not. I do all of my spraying in the garage, and it is the coldest place in the house. So I will have to wait a little bit before I get into that, but I am ready. I've had my little droid now for just a hair under a year, and I think I'm ready now. Sometimes you just gotta sit with a project until it tells you, it's time. And that's where I am now. But you see how the sort of head looks like metal silver? I kind of really like that. You see, that brush is like, I don't even know, what, like 3 bristles? I did silver underneath the head too. You can't really pop off the head of this without causing too much trouble, so I kind of tried to get in there as best I could. And right now I'm just doing a silver rim all the way around that bottom piece of the head. But we're pretty much coming on the end here. Obviously, I'm then going to come back and weather the head to sort of match the body as well. And I think I add a couple details, couple stripes and things like that. And you'll see that one panel right there, I sort of mixed up some silver and some sort of yellowish color to kind of look like a panel that was added on to like replace something. That's what I'm into. I like it looking worn. I like it looking like it needed repair, and it has been repaired, but just with a you know, with a piece of metal that was not a matching color, you know. It all builds the story behind it, you know. At this point, I really got to say, look, if you're watching still and you're still riding along with me here, thank you so much for giving my little featurette so much love. It was only going to be the intro to this video, but I threw it up on Instagram. A lot of people really loved it, and I was like, well, I think I gotta put this out on its own. So I made it its own video, which was uploaded yesterday. If you haven't, I will link it somewhere, I guess. And here we go. We got it pretty much done. I added 2 yellow stripes to the little hood, to the little eye hood, to match the 2 yellow stripes that I put on the body right there. You see there's 2 stripes, 2 vertical stripes on the hood and 2 horizontal stripes on the body there. I don't know why I did that. I just felt it in the moment, and I was like, it would be cool if I had like some like little stripes here. So I did it. Now, again, another pass at weathering. I mean, this is the name of the game. Paint and then weather, paint and then weather. And build up your layers. And look, I'm not an expert at this, but if I can impart any bit of wisdom, whatever wisdom it might be that I have, is that working layers with this stuff, you gotta go slow. I know you're excited, you're painting a thing, it's turning out great, and you want to just have it done. This took me a few days, you know. You gotta let stuff dry. You can't really go in and like, I know these are acrylics and they dry fast, but if you add paint on almost dry stuff, you're gonna run into trouble. I ran into those troubles as well. So I then, as I went along, started to really slow down and let everything sort of dry overnight when I was done, and then came back in. But yeah, I'm just adding really watered down black here, just straight black, to call out some of these details. You can already see that it's, you know, the black gets into those nooks and crannies, and you'd be surprised how much that little bit really calls out details. I can't wait to do the big one. I can't wait. It's gonna be so dope. See here, I'm just lathering it on, letting it sort of, through that capillary action, get into all those little nooks and crannies and crevasses. Now there are some little lights, bleep bloop lights. Not in the Funko, obviously, but there are some bleep bloop lights that this would have if it was a real droid. You'll see. I'll go in there and do a little red light, a little blue light, a little green light. You'll see that in just a sec. The game of millimeters, this is. Everything is so small. Painting something this small is both like satisfying because you can get it done relatively quickly because it's, you know, such a small area, but it's also nerve-wracking because every decision you make has to be like a deliberate decision, you know? When you're working on something this small, it is hard to hide your crimes. I'm adding some of this watered down dark color underneath that little hood. And just in like little places. Here I'm just sort of dabbing it with my finger, really, really watered down. I kind of just wanted to stain that tan color. And so I put some on and sort of dab it with my finger. Kind of want to make it look like little oil stains and whatnot. That's, you know, that's the name of the game. And at times it sort of looks like I'm not even putting anything on there, but it's because it's a really, really thin down paint. But in the end, it makes all the difference. Truly, truly. Hey, and if I can do this, you can do this. So it only gets easier at a larger scale, I think. So if you have a droid from Droid Depot, a Galaxy's Edge, go for it. And here it is, all painted up. Now I'm gonna add those little lights, the little bleep bloop lights. I went in with paint markers because I kind of want these really electric, bright colors. And it's just really easy because you're just dabbing on a tiny, teeny, tiny little area. You barely see that, but when you're looking at it in person, it makes all the difference. Bit of red light, dab, dab, dab. And I did a blue one as well. If you could see that the blue paint marker is down there, waiting to be used. You can get a good shot of the eye there, and it looks like it's reflecting light, but it's actually just a tiny bit of silver in such a way so that it looks like it's reflecting light, but it's not. It's paint. Haha, I tricked you. Sorry, I didn't mean to trick you. And here we go. See, there was the little lights. Bleep bloop, bleep bloops. And here is the final. All we need to do is seal in all of our hard work so that nothing happens to it, nothing rubs down. You can get a good look at how this is sort of subtly weathered. Getting a little bit of a clear coat here in a rattle can. Now, because it's cold, I didn't think it would be that bad because this is such a small spray up. But because it's cold, I did get a bit of sort of artifacting and crackling, but just the tiniest bit. You can kind of see it. I think it's coming around. You can kind of see it right there on that panel line, right on that tan sort of panel. There's a bit of crackling, and that happens because it's too cold when it's drying. So that was another indication that I cannot work on the big one yet because I'm getting this kind of artifacting that you see me point out there. There's some there as well. But no big deal. It kind of looks all right anyway, but just keep that in mind. If you are spraying something up, make sure that it's drying in a sort of warmer place because you will get that sort of crackling and artifacting. And now I'm just rubbing it down because it feels nice, because it's nice and glossy and slick. It does feel nice to the touch, actually. But I'm really happy with it. All of our hard work is sealed in now, and it's ready to go. But look at these. Let's compare these side by side now. It is, I mean, identical. The panel lines are identical. You see that white square there? It's that blue square. See? See, that square is that square. And that panel is that panel. And this sort of bar, that silver bar, is that little silver bar. I was so surprised that I could find a teeny tiny version of my droid. Fucking well done, Droid Depot. Anyway, that's pretty much it. Thanks so much for watching. Roll the thing!